tapes, Inflammation versus Misformation, were recorded from classes given this year by Dr. Malachi York, known to us as the Supreme Grandmaster Naya Malachi Zoduk El, our own Pharaoh, Amanubi Ru'akatar. And now, listen with an open mind and heart as our Grandmaster inflames you with only the truth. Allow your inner light to flow again and stomp out misformation with only the facts. And now, listen to the Supreme Grandmaster, Naya Malachi Zoduk El.
Every time the world reaches a point of consciousness, spiritual consciousness, they have to come up with some type of tactic to make you go, oh, okay. The hip-hop generation stepped in, popped out this doctrine, this philosophy, this music, and it frightened everybody. And it frightened everybody, including them. You follow that? But out of that chaos is coming a certain amount of awareness. These kids are now starting to talk about the conditions that's taking place. The death of Tupac is a symbol to them. You follow? They're starting to realize some of you people are taking this business a little too serious. The whole hip-hop thing is a business. We're making money. We're playing games. We're not real gangsters. You want to meet the real gangsters, go to Sicily. You meet real gangsters. You don't think there's no real gangsters. I know guys don't think they're real gangsters out there. So now what they got out of hand is a couple of kids, a couple of fathers, a couple of sons, a couple of brothers have lost their lives. And it's gotten quiet. But there's an awareness amongst all of them. This new doctrine is able to get these kids to stop killing each other. Because when we meet here on Savior's Day, if you're here for the 4 days, you're going to see all the groups here. Groups that would normally be rivaling against each other. They would hate each other. For no reason other than they wear a different color head rag, I think they say. Or one does this, which is nothing but a reptilian symbol. And the other one's doing this. I don't know what they're doing. I didn't see that movie. But they'll all be here on Savior's Day together as a family. So somebody said, see them Milwaukeeans up there? Yeah. They don't drink. Wait, I take that back. We do drink. We drink watermelon, soda, wine, beer, but we don't get drunk. Correct? We don't smoke any kind of drugs. Any kind of drug. You understand that? We're not polygamous. We're not Muslim. We don't have hundreds of wives. If you still have hundreds of wives, the next answer, you gotta cut it out. We're not having it anymore. And I say, if men could have more than one wife, then women can have more than one husband. No more. You follow that? No more women walking behind men. Shut up and you shut up. When the man says shut up, say why, and then prepare to go. But stand up. It's time to stand up. This is what we teach. Now, what's starting to happen is we appeal to the younger generation for some reason. You follow what I'm saying? We open our doors by opening my mind and heart to reach out to the 5% and say, let me take your book that you have been sitting on since 1960-something and doing nothing with, and the kids are only going from little bits of rhetoric, so they don't have a full understanding of what's in those so-called 1 to 20 or plus lessons. So, being you can't afford to do it, or just don't want to do it, let me put the book in one cover so every 5% or God, they got 8 sects now, every one of them can have a copy of it. So maybe they can see that we're not that different than they are. But as long as they got a couple of fanatical leaders who want to control their congregation, this is one of our biggest problems, control of the congregation. They're afraid that their followers might come to me. And if I wanted their followers to come over to me and not be 5%, I wouldn't put up a 5% flag. I'm saying if you're 5%, that's what you believe in, you can still be a part of the Milwaukee family. We ain't into, we're not getting caught up on the religious crap with you. Because nobody can confirm religion. Nobody. You cannot prove to me that there's a God. You can go with a whole bunch of philosophical bull crap If I said, prove to me God, I know there's a God because he created me. That's it. Evolution beats the hell out of that. Quantum physics beats the hell out of evolution and instant creation. And I'm saying? They can't do it. And that's the problem. Because they can't do it, there's an emotional trap. The moment I can't verify or justify what I believe in, next thing I want to do is hit you. I regress back to an elephant, or a gorilla, or a bull. You know what I'm saying? That's why we went out there with so many questions at people. But I did not go out there with questions before I did 25 years of questioning. I did 25 years of standing up in front of people in New York City, opened the doors and said, come in and ask me anything you want to prove what I'm saying wrong. If you do, I say, I'll follow you. All I want to do is change the conditions because I see the baby. You know what I'm saying? Marvin Gaye's record was deep. You know what I'm saying? The kids, change the world, that was deep. Now, if that record was, if you could touch, I said, that's a very heavy message. That's all I was concerned with. So I did that for the 5%. You with me? Yes. The subtotal comes down to most people don't know what they're talking about. The first criteria for dealing with a Muslim is, do you speak Arabic? If not, then stop using Arabic. If you don't speak the language of the Quran, then give it up. And then that doesn't mean you understand it, because I know many Muslims who speak Arabic and don't understand the Quran. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many Muslim sects. If they all understood it just by virtue of the fact that they know Arabic, then all of them would have the same belief. There wouldn't be so many Sunni, Shia, Ahmadiyya, Baha'i, and on and on and on. You with me? Right. So we, as a people, are vulnerable because we're like a baby mind. And because we're riding off of, I've been abused. That's what we use, I've been abused, the white man abused me. So we're looking for any way to get even, like Gaddafi. So we like to join anything so I can tell them, go, black. and hope that the average white person goes, oh, that's so terrible. You know, black man, average white person goes, that's black power. I mean, they're not as involved in the black power thing as you are. You know what I'm saying? They don't care about, black power, black, right on. The average white person goes like this. Right on. What's the big deal? But let's see what you're doing.
Right.
If you feel that the system is failing you, what do? Are you setting up a school system? Columbus did not discover America. You can't discover something somebody's already on, first of all. Plus he didn't come to America, he went to Trinidad. You know what I'm saying? When he got here with all Max, we were already here for all Max. Mound buildings, long before, more. Alright, so I'm not teaching that to my son. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to teach my son your lies. You need those that make you feel good. I understand that. You're supposed to make yourself feel good to your kids. But because you went over to Africa and stole a large amount of us and brought us here, that's what I'm saying? You have an obligation to teach us about us. If you say we're free. If I'm not free, then you don't have to, then you can continue to teach me that George Washington was the first president when that's just not a fact. Come on. There were 16 presidents before George, and 9 of them were black. The man who put George Washington in office, his name is John Hanson. Look it up, and it'll tell you right in your dictionary, John Hanson, a black president, or more.
Now, when did you get names, bro?
Huh?
When did you get the 8 other presidents?
I'll give it to you. I'm writing a book on it.
Oh, thank you.
I'll give it to you. But it's not mystical. You can go into any computer and bring up John Hanson, and they'll tell you one of 9 black presidents. And they'll give you Native Americans. And they'll also give you Frenchmen who came over here and married Washita women, a black tribe, and had children, and those children were governors. There's a woman right now, still alive, an empress, recognized by the President of the United States as an empress, recognized as the real owner by deed of the land from Louisiana to Canada. Recognized right now, an empress. They ain't telling me about her. They killed her husband, they killed her father, they killed all her children, but she worked her way up, right, and went and got and retrieved the records Went all the way to France and traced the records down the deed and can trace her descendants 5 generations back. And prove it, and the government, the President of the United States, has issued her the right to be a separate country in this country right now. She has her own license plates, her own driver's license. They don't have to pay any tax, and it's not exclusively for blacks. So don't start fighting, we'll start going over there. It's for anybody who is willing to join in that land. And it's going on right now.